guys, it's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. I acknowledge the fact that the lighting in this video is horrendously awful. It is, what, like 7:30 at night, and it's dark, it's gloomy, it's raining, it's been storming the last couple of days here. This is my March reading wrap up. The deal was I either embrace these less than ideal conditions and give you this video, or we have to wait yet another week. It's already really late to just do it, right? We should just get it done with. So the first book that I read in March was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is an extremely hyped, popular book on BookTube right now, or it was at the beginning of the year. It came out in January and everybody was raving about it. People were saying nothing but positive things. I had not seen a single negative review for this book from the moment that it hit the shelves. Quite a few people were telling me that it has a lot of aspects to it I would really enjoy. So I went into this expecting a lot and expecting for it to be a new favorite fantasy book, and I was incredibly disappointed in relation to what I was expecting. Was thinking that we were going to have a love to hate. I thought we were going to have a hate to love type of relationship. It was going to be these two characters who could not stand each other and were forced to work together under certain conditions, and they were going to be like an enemies to lovers type of thing. We're gonna have a lot of like angst and slow building type of romance and whatever. The romance wasn't what I wanted. Like, there wasn't enough of it, and I felt like it was really weirdly developed. Like, I didn't understand why one character had feelings for the other character and vice versa. It didn't make sense to me. Like, I really enjoyed it towards the end, like once it got into it, but process of getting to the end, the process of getting there wasn't as enjoyable as I wanted it to be. Didn't find it swoon-worthy. I didn't find it gripping. I didn't find it tension-filled at all. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I also was very uncomfortable with like the way that the Cruel Prince was written. I was expecting for this character that is the Cruel Prince to be kind of like Reese from ACOTAR. Very standoffish, very private. In reality, this guy was just like a bully. He and his friends would just get together and pick on our main character, and I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't really like any of the characters. The only thing that I really enjoyed about this book was the ending. I really liked the end. I thought it was a really great twist. I'm excited to see what comes of it in the future book, because I think that it's going to just play out, well, it has the potential to play out in like a really fascinating, intriguing way. Overall, I was fairly disappointed with this. Gave it a 3.75 out of 5 stars. After that, I picked up Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi, which is the first book in the Shatter Me series. This is a reread for me. I read this book for the first time 3 years ago in 2015. And when I initially read it, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and then over time, it just increasingly dropped to like a 3 and then a 2, and then I really didn't like it. I really wanted to give this series another chance. If you've watched any of like my series types of videos on here, you know that I've been wanting to reread this for a while now. The first time I read this, I had a very easy time getting through it. Like, it wasn't a hard book to read by any means, and this time I had an even easier time getting into the story. Again, very fast-paced, very easy to read. It's not a difficult story to get into. I still had a really hard time rating this book. I still had issues with it, but like the issues that I had from the first time reading it, I now understand why they were done. Like, I could see the construction of the book so much better this time around. Like, I understood why she was using the strikeouts. I understood why there was so much repetition. I understood all of the very strange comparisons and metaphors. I understood why there wasn't a ton of world building. I also understood the like mindset of Juliet better. In my hard copy, there's not like a note to the reader, but in the e-copy that I borrowed from the library, there was like a little note in the front that explained why it was written the way that it was, like the purpose of the strikeouts and the repetition. So obviously Mafi had been receiving a lot of complaints about it, and she addressed it, explained it, and it totally made the experience different. Not necessarily better, but different. While I was still not loving what was being done, I knew there was intent and purpose behind it, and it wasn't just like a weird, quirky writing style. I get the point of it now, but that doesn't mean that I like it. That left me with, what do I rate this book? I couldn't leave it at a 2-star because I understood the purpose and the intent, and I thought that it was crafted for what she was trying to achieve very well, but I still didn't like what she was doing. So it wasn't like enjoyable. in that sense. But then I also still read it in like 4 days. What do I rate this book? I don't know. In the end, I think I landed somewhere around 3 stars, but like a loose 3 stars. So after I finished Shatter Me, I read Destroy Me, which is the novella in the Shatter Me series between Shatter Me and Unravel Me, and it's told from Warner's point of view. I really enjoy being in Warner's point of view, so I think I will like the future books that have more of his point of view present. I still do not understand his obsession and intrigue with Juliet. Like, a lot of the story is spent trying to explain to us why he's so obsessed with Juliet, like where that stems from. I still didn't find it believable. I have a hard time with the believability of the relationships in the series in general. I just don't feel like there's enough development, foundation, structure to justify these characters' feelings, and I felt much the same way in both of these books for each individual character and couple. Like, I just don't think it's developed well enough to buy into it. That is something that I would like to see developed on in the future books. I would like to see a better foundation, a better description, explanation for why all these characters have such strong feelings for each other. I had mentioned in my Goodreads review that Warner's behavior, his possessiveness, his obsession with Juliet reminded me a lot of a stalker. On my second read, I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. And then the last book that I read in March, I almost said April, in March, was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This book was just so dang fun and entertaining. I love the hate to love trope. It's one of my favorite relationship tropes. Assistants to CEOs of 2 different publishing companies, and the companies merge and both CEOs keep their jobs, and then they bring both their assistants with them, and the assistants do not get along. The CEOs do not get along. The 2 different companies do not merge well together, and so they're constantly picking on each other and pranking each other and poking fun at each other. It's so entertaining. I had so much fun reading this book. They're so obsessed with each other, and they're so like worried about what the other person is doing, and so in tune to each other's lives. I felt like that line between do we hate each other or do we love each other was done so well in this book. I also really enjoyed that these characters were in their 20s, just being their single professional selves. We have a lot of books that take place, especially in the adult genre, later in life, where you have been married and they're going through divorce, they're having kids, much more like adult problems. I feel like I've read a lot of adult like that where I don't relate at all. Can't wait to see what else Sally Thorne will be coming out with in the future, because this was a debut novel. I was really impressed. I thought she wrote a great romance story. It was just exactly what I want from my romance novels. And I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed this one. Those are all of the books that I read in March. Let's go ahead and talk about the TV shows that I saw. So being that I'm filming this video so late, I don't remember if I watched TV at all in March. Did I watch any TV shows? Really can't remember. So I'm going to assume that nothing is standing out in my mind. That means no. And if I did, they clearly weren't memorable. Let's go ahead and talk about movies. So the first movie I saw in theaters this month was Black Panther. I finally made it to the theater. Nobody wanted to see this movie in my life, and I don't understand. Clearly, I need new friends and family members. I was very impressed with this movie. I loved all like the very strong, powerful women, the general and T'Challa's younger sister. I loved her. His love interest, like those three women were just so strong and sassy and feisty and played such important roles in their society. It wasn't just like a romance love interest. These were people who were such pivotal members of their society. It was just so empowering, and I just liked them so much. I felt like the villain in Black Panther stood out as one of the better villains in the MCU compared to quite a few other ones who I go back and watch the movies and I'm like, I totally forgot this person was even ever a problem. And I really liked how they connected it with another character who we first saw in Age of Ultron. I don't remember what his name was, but he was the guy that was taking the vibranium and he lost his arm, and played by the guy who plays Gollum. I can't remember what his name is though. Andy Serkis, but what is his character's name? That guy. I liked how we connected him back in, and he had another like moment in the series, and his role in the MCU was more fleshed out and explained better. Can't wait to see more of Wakanda in Infinity War and more of these amazing characters, because they're incredibly memorable and well done characters. And then the second movie that I saw in theaters this month was Love, Simon. Now this is an adaptation of Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, which I had just read in February. I mentioned this in my February wrap-up. I enjoyed this book. I thought it was very heartwarming. I feel like it's very relevant. It's very necessary. We need more stories like this. I didn't connect to it the way so many other people have connected to it. Really enjoyed the movie, and I think it's incredibly important. I loved seeing all of the celebrities buying out theaters so that young kids could go see it, give them courage in their own lives. Like, I loved seeing that. I didn't have the obsessive need to see this movie every single day for the rest of my life. I really enjoyed it. It was really cute. It had a really great soundtrack. Definitely piqued my interest to read the rest of the Simon-verse books. Like, I had never really had any intention to read The Upside of Unrequited or Leah on the Offbeat, and I'm now much more intrigued by them, especially Leah on the Offbeat. With that being said though, it was very strange to see Jennifer Garner and Josh Duhamel playing parents and like secondary roles, because I'm so used to them being leading actors and actresses and like playing big huge parts and being like the main attraction of the movie. And in this case they were just the parents, and they were average normal parents. It was weird. It made me feel really old. I liked them, they did a great job, but it was still weird. I totally understand. Hopefully we'll see more movies like this. Like they say, everybody deserves a great love story. So that is it. Those are all the books, TV shows, and movies that I consumed in the month of March. Please tell me down below what you watched or read last month. I'm sure that you've already told people because it's the middle of April and this is very late. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I will talk to you very soon. Bye!